Hi, guys, it's Dr. George, and we had our first day of school today. So I'll wait for you, a couple of you to come in. It's a little behind. I think you're just now starting to see me. So you can say hello. And I have a very, very special guest tonight. Very, very special guest with two very, 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 very special books. So if you say hello, we'll make sure to say hello to you. So I have two books. My first book that I'll read tonight is Little Bat and Night School because we started school. And Mike said, yum, yum cookies. Yes, Mike. I have on my cookies on my onesie. Hi, Dr. Knight. Hi, Kimber. And the second book is The Rough Patch. So I'm going to bring my friend, Mr. Brian, please. Hi, Brian. How are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you so much for having me on, and happy first day of school to everybody.
Yes, so first day of school in BISD. So, Brian, so you sent me this book. We're Facebook friends through Tucked In Tuesdays. And so this book you just recently wrote, Little Bat and Night School. So I made a little post under yours and you wrote me a note and you said, Dear Dr. Richardson George, here's a copy of Little Bat and Night School. Thanks for all you do to encourage lifelong readers. I look forward to Tucked In Tuesdays. And here you are being tucked in or tucking kids in. So Miss Eckenrod said, yeah, yay. And Riley, hi, Riley. That's my great nephew. Hi, Virtuous. And hi, Joel, if he's there. And hi, Anicia. And yes, happy first day of school. So we got a lot of Joel. Hello, Joel. So we got a lot of comments. And Mike says Florida started school last week and Massachusetts start schools in 2 to 3 weeks. Oh, wow. So what inspired you to write about a bat? Because you have this thing about bats, don't you?
I like them. A lot of kids in schools I visit ask me if bats are my favorite animals, and they aren't. Armadillos are my favorite, but I've never written an armadillo book yet. I've done 4 other bat books, and in all of those bat books, there's a little bat wearing yellow things on his wings, and he's just hidden in the pages of the story. He doesn't speak. I've always known that his name was Little Bat, but I didn't write that into these other bat books. And it occurred to me that he needed to have his own story where he comes forward and he speaks and has experiences where he's really in the front of everything, not just sort of hidden off in pictures in the background. So Little Bat in Night School was born.
Oh, wow. So I can't wait to read it. As I said, I never read them in advance. And hi, Anita. We never read them in advance, so we'll learn about it. And hi, my favorite. You're back. Ava, Ari, and Pop Pop. Hello. So we'll get started. And you're a Caldecott honor winner and New York Times bestseller. That's like major. So tell the kids and parents how you become a Caldecott honor winner and a New York Times bestseller.
Well, I think the thing is you just practice doing something you love. I've been doing this for 30 years now, since my first book got published, and I'm still practicing, still trying to get better. One of my favorite things I love saying is practice makes better, not perfect, because we're human beings, we make mistakes, and that's okay, but we learn from those mistakes and we move on and get better. So it's really just about just keeping trying, staying curious, I think is really important. I think it's important for young people to ask questions. You know, and I know sometimes grown-ups are like, why do you keep saying why? But that's how we learn. And so I'm constantly trying to figure out new ways to paint pictures and to tell stories. And over time, you get better.
But this New York Times bestseller, that's not easy to do.
It is not easy to do.
Sell?
Yeah, I mean, it means that your book has sold really, really well, which is truly a blessing. One of my books, this one, Bats at the Beach, was actually read out loud on National Public Radio, and weekend edition Saturday, and my wife and I were in tears listening to somebody read my book on the national radio, and that made a huge difference. Lots of people went to check it out, and they liked it. So that's a nice thing.
So let's read Little Bat in Night School. And hi, Jessica. And hi, Barry from Canada. Hello. That is wonderful, Virtuous. So here we go. And they're written and illustrated by Mr. Fleece. Little Bat in night school. And he said, who makes Dr. George, who makes sure all her little bats are safe and read, to best wishes from Brian Lees. And he says, hey, that's me. Little bat looking at itself. I love that. Here we go. And it's to teachers who bring light to the darkness. That's even better, just in time for school. And they do bring light to the darkness. Little Bat was ready. He had everything he needed. Colored pencils, a water bottle, glue stick, pencil sharpener, fuzzy thing, new backpack, crayons, the blue broke somehow, and a snack. There he is, ready for school, just like many of you were this morning. Except maybe some patience. When is sunset? Is it time to go yet? How about now? Now? School is going to be so much fun. How about now? I can't wait to meet the other bats. Shh, Mama Bats yawn, awaken for the 100th time. Rest. When night fell and they finally arrived at school, it was bigger than Little Bat had expected. Well, hello, the teacher smiled at him. I'm Miss C. In the classroom, Little Bat saw a pair of raccoons, some owlets, and a ferret. Where were the other bats? They were there, over by that wall. He let out his breath. So, I don't see the bats, not yet. Hi, he said. I'm Little Bat. Want to play? We're already playing, one said. With each other, the other added. Little Bat flew into a cubby to hide, but someone else was already there. Hi, what are you doing? He asked. I'm just hanging out, she replied. Oh, Little Bat said. Is it okay if I hang out here too? I guess so, she said. But why aren't you out there with them? I don't know anybody, Little Bat sighed. I want to go home. Me too, she said. I'm Ophelia. I'm Little Bat, he blinked. Hey, now we do know somebody here. So he meets a friend. Hello, Miss Bridges. Circle time, Miss C called. Everyone gather round. She flicked on more lights. Guess we have to join them, Little Bat jumped. Wait, bats explode in light, Ophelia cried. Little Bat laughed. That's just a myth. I'll go if you will. Deal, Ophelia agreed. Little Bat and Ophelia stuck together. Miss C taught them to sing, the seals on the bus. They talked about the patterns the stars make and why the moon changed shape. Hi, Megan. Then it was time for show and tell. I've got half of a popsicle stick. I've got the other half. We found this in someone's backyard. I like cephalopods?
Cephalopods, like octopus and squid and things.
Oh my goodness, I'm always learning new words. I brought a car, you copy me. I brought a car, no, you copy me. I have a bumbershoot. Little Bat hadn't brought anything to share, so he held his wings wide. These are my floaties, he announced. The others gasped. Do they help you fly? Do they keep you warm? He shrugged. No, I just like them. Neat, the other said. During math, they practiced counting. Psst, turn it around, Ophelia whispered. Oops, Little Bat laughed. So there they go.
And so Little Bat wrote a 6 upside down because he's upside down. So it looks like 4, 5, 9, 7. Until he turns it around, that's 4, 5, 6, 7.
That's good eyes, Brian. Good eyes. At nap time, everyone found a comfy place to sleep, to rest. Then it was time for art. Little Bat threw himself into making prints. He loved the feel of the squishy clay. He literally threw himself into painting.
Splashed himself with paint and splatted up against a piece of paper.
Might have to do that. Little Bat looked up and saw what someone else was making. I stink at art.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's so sad with art. A lot of times, if somebody, people do art in their own ways. And if somebody else does something you think is just a little bit better than what you do, so many people say, I quit. I'm no good. They're good. And that's the sad thing, because everybody can make art.
That's so true. Hi, Kamani, Cameron, and Karen. Hi, hello. That's some of our scholars. Hey, don't get upset, the ferret said. I've been doing this a lot longer than you. And you know, practice makes perfect. Little bat and Ophelia groaned. No, practice makes better, the ferret said. Everyone can get better. That's what makes it exciting. I guess I could try again, Little Bat said. At lunchtime, Ophelia held something out. This is delicious. My mama found it on the road. Want some? No, thank you, Little Bat said. But I'm glad you like it. He pushed the straw into his juice and it squirted. He grinned and squeezed it again harder. Well, I don't think I'd eat something off side of the road. Hi, Kylie.
Well, we aren't possums.
We are possum. Or if I was a possum, I'd want it off side of the road. Hey, I'm so sorry, Little Bat cried. I didn't mean for that to happen. Miss C leaned in. It's kind of you to help clean up, she said. It was kind of funny. He's squirting his juice, he's upside down. Time for recess, Miss C announced. What do you want us to do? They asked. Use your imagination, she replied. Is this being graded? Is it's like a science project you want us to do? What's the goal here? Is there a right way to do this? Recess is boring, a raccoon groaned. But look at all this great stuff, Little Bat pointed. I bet we could build something. They got busy. The other two bats came over. Can we help? One started. With what you're making? The other finished. Of course, Little Bat said. Grab something to add. The round rug made a perfect racetrack. Story time, Miss C called. Everyone grumbled. Aw, we were just getting started. But they gathered around as Miss C opened a book and took them far back into the past. Could the heroes escape before the time door closed, trapping them forever? As to help me with this dinosaur. What is it?
Pterosaurs. I loved dinosaurs when I was a little boy.
The Pterosaurus gained on them. A ray of morning light fell across the pages. Ooh, and that's a skit. That's what it looked like. That's a different one.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that one. And we'll have to leave it there for now, Miss C said. No, everyone pleaded, just a little more. Don't worry, the story will wait for us. Miss C smiled. Time to gather your things. That was a pretty good night after all, Little Bat remarked. Are you coming back again tonight? I will if you do, Ophelia said. Deal, he agreed. I just realized everyone in the book is nocturnal. Little Bat leapt into the air, his head buzzing with all he had learned. He couldn't wait to be back in night school. You won't believe what my friends ate. My best friend likes to hang upside down too. There's a song I can teach you. Somebody almost got in trouble for spilling juice. You read the most amazing story. I know all my numbers now. Did you know the moon actually doesn't actually get skinnier?
It's in tiny, tiny, tiny print, so it's very hard to read.
Yes, so it keeps going away. I love this book.
Oh, thanks. Sort of the way that I wish school was in some ways.
Yes, it was the learning and creativity was left up to the animals.
Well, you have free time, which allows you to figure out your voice and what you want to come up with, not just have everybody do sort of the same cookie cutter project. I think that's important for developing creativity.
I absolutely love that. So we'll come back to this. I know you know this book, so I don't have to tell you, hold that in your brain. But we have a second book by Mr. Lee's called The Rough Patch. So he told me before, because I don't read the books in advance, that there's a sad part in this book. So right before the sad part comes, he's going to tell us. He's going to warn me. So hi, Ms. Cox. Great story. Very beautifully illustrated. It is. So here we go. The Rough Patch. And it's all about animals, Lori, just like you like it. The Rough Patch by Brian Lees, because he told me fleas. Now I want to say fleas. Lees. And published by HarperCollins. Evan and his dog did everything together. It's Evan and his dog. You apparently like animals too.
I do.
They played games and enjoyed sweet treats. They shared music and adventure. They were together all through the day and all through all the seasons. But what they loved the most was working in Evan's magnificent garden. There, everything they planted grew as big and as beautiful as the sky above them.
And this is where I warn students that the next page is the saddest page in the book, but it's really a story about hope.
Okay. But one day, the unthinkable happened.
So Evan came downstairs to find out that his dog was no longer alive. So he's very sad.
Evan laid his dog to rest in a corner of the garden, and nothing was the same. Evan shut himself away inside. Without his best friend, the garden was a bitter and lonely place. One morning, he found himself with a hoe in his paws. Swinging angrily, he slashed the garden to the ground.
And in schools, I always ask people at this point if they have ever felt so sad that they wanted to break something, and almost everybody raises a hand. I think that that's something that we feel a lot. Emotions are complicated, and sometimes it's hard to understand what it is that you're really feeling, and to sort of name all those emotions. I mean, it's possible to feel a whole bunch of different things at the same time. So I think here Evan is very, very confused.
Yeah. I don't know if you see the comment, but you remind someone of Jimmy Buffett. Have you heard that before?
I have not. Jimmy Buffett without the talent.
You have lots of talent. He hacked it all to bits and threw everything into a heap. But a good place won't stay empty for long. New plants sprouted and stretched toward the sky. Weeds, itchy ones, spiky and prickly ones, foul-smelling ones. These weeds suited Evan just fine. So he took care of them. And boys and girls, if you listen, that's also a very special treat. This book, I don't even know if you know this, is an AR book, is an accelerated reader book, boys and girls. So you can get points for this book. So this is the information for your AR. So you can take a quiz on this and get AR points. If Evan's garden couldn't be a happy place, then it was going to be the saddest, the most desolate spot he could make it. Is it desolate, right? And soon it was.
And I think he's wondering something about what he's done. You look at his face, he's a little frightened. He's maybe a little frightened of his own emotions, or what he's done to the garden. A lot of different feelings there.
When Evan found a pumpkin vine sneaking in under the fence, he raised his hoe to chop it, but then he considered its prickly stems, fuzzy leaves, and spidery, twisty tendrils. He let it be. As the pumpkin vine grew, Evan cleared the weeds from his path and watered it. The vine responded to his care.
Now, I love asking students at this point in reading the book, what do you think the vine is giving Evan? And I don't know if anybody wants to pitch in and answer that question. What do you think that the vine is giving Evan?
So you can type it in the comments. It's a little delayed, but we'll get the answer.
Yeah.
Around the time the evening air began to cool, Evan felt an old familiar sense of excitement. It was Fair Week. Oh my goodness. Hi, Sarah. Look at this. He loaded up the pumpkin and drove to town. He took care of important fair business and gobbled down some delicious fair food. He caught up with some friends too. It felt good to be out again, even if it wasn't quite the same. Look at all those huge pumpkins.
Mhm.
Evan's pumpkin won third place. Prize is $10 or one of the pups in that box, the judge said. I'll take the 10, said Evan. So he took the $10. It is a wonderful way to explain different stages of grief. Hi, Hank loves the book, and we have grown pumpkins too. Hi, Hank. But as he claimed his prize, he heard a scrambling sound inside the box and thought it wouldn't hurt to just look.
And the last page has no words on it.
No words, but look who's in the car. Some little ears. Very nicely done. So let's talk about your favorite part in Little Bat and night school, if there is such a thing.
Well, I think my favorite part is actually that page where the ferret with a little who loves cephalopods, loves squids and octopus, builds this enormous statue, horse statue with a squid of some kind on it. That was a lot of fun to do.
Oh, I bet. A lot of details there.
Mm-hmm.
What I would say my favorite part of the book probably was when he painted himself, when he slathered himself against. So if you had to do a takeaway from the book, we always do a takeaway, and it's always different than what the author intended every time. So I'll do mine first and see if that's what you intended for me to get. And then I'll get your true takeaway. Joel said that's his favorite part too.
Awesome, Joel.
So, Little Bat and Night School. My biggest takeaway from this book is people that you hang with don't have to look like you. Mm-hmm. And that we are in control of our own happiness. I say it every day, have a great day on purpose. And I think Little Bat did that because he started off really excited about school, and then it kind of went down, and then he found someone else and he had a great day on purpose. So my biggest takeaway from this book, as I said, is people don't have to look like you for you to like them, and have a great day on purpose. Now, what is your intended takeaway from this book?
For me, it's similar to that. I think it's really, the whole concept of practice makes better is a really big thing for me when I talk to students in schools, because I think so many kids think that you either know something or you don't. And, when I was a kid, it was all about sort of stuffing your brain with all kinds of information. I never knew that you're actually changing your brain as you learn things, as you do things over and over again. You make these little connections. And to me, that's so cool, because for me, that was power. And power over your life is so important. The idea that by, reading as many books as you can, you're actually making your entire brain more powerful by trying things over and over again, not being so upset about making mistakes. Making a mistake is actually a good thing in some ways, in that we've learned something. You learn something when you get it right, but you also learn when you get it wrong. And then you may learn a tool that'll help you always get it right in the future. So for me, it's really, what everybody's talking about now, the whole growth mindset stuff. And as I said, I think at the beginning, it's also about the way that I really want school to be, which is that it gives kids enough space for them to explore on their own. Because I think that exploration is so important for kids.
I love that. And I think you're right. School should be like that. Mm-hmm. And so my biggest takeaway from this was beautifully, I love Little Bat at Night School. It kept making me want to know what would happen next in that book. So I absolutely love that book. Mm. So this book, I would have to say The Rough Patch. My biggest takeaway is that it's okay to be sad. Mm-hmm. And when you're sad, sadness doesn't look the same for everyone,
No.
but you don't stay there. And when you get a glimmer of hope, you take it,
Hmm.
like he let the vine grow instead of chopping it away. We just have to see hope in every situation. So that's my takeaway. So what is
Yeah.
yours from this book?
Well, I think that again, that's very, very close to what I was thinking. Evan can't help himself. He likes to help things grow. He likes to take care of things. So even when things are really, really sad for him, he's got to take care of those weeds that pop up in the empty places in his garden. And so for me, that's really hopeful because we can get hit by all these terrible things, and if you decide to keep standing up, you will get up again and again, and it builds resilience and strength. And we just got to be kind to ourselves, I think. And sometimes it takes time, And again, the idea that emotion can be confusing and we don't always have the proper names for what we're thinking.
Absolutely love that. And Miss Fehrenbacher said, hello all. And she said, your takeaway was powerful.
Hmm.
So boys and girls, that's the AR for that book. Make sure you get that so you can take your AR test at school. And Brian, the books, what other books have you written and where can they buy your books? So those
Well,
two questions.
they can, authors and illustrators always love it when people go to a real life bookstore because it keeps small businesses alive, and small towns need small businesses, cities need small businesses. You can get them all on Amazon or Barnes and Noble online, but your local bookstore can order a book for you and have it there within a couple of days. So I think it's important. I mean, I've done. I think I'm finishing up my 33rd book, so there are bunches of them. I've got something called "Got to Get to Bears," where a little chipmunk named Izzy gets a note from her friend Bear saying, "Izzy, come at once." The bear doesn't say what she wants, and Izzy wants to be a good friend, so she goes off through a blizzard to find out what it is that's so important to Bear. There's a little bit of a surprise ending there. I have 4 bat books. There's Bats at the Library, where a whole bunch of bats go into a library at night. And this is Little Bat's first time of understanding the joy of reading. So this book for me is really sort of a love letter to telling stories and having fun. Here, the bats are misbehaving, playing around with the water fountain. Raise your hand if you've ever been told not to mess around with the water fountain. Be honest. Okay, I have not as a grown-up. I haven't as a grown-up. That would be embarrassing. But when I was younger, hey, they're fun. Got bats in the band. I love making sound. I have a whole bunch of instruments and I don't play a single one of them well. That's why I was joking about the Jimmy Buffett comment. Thank you. Bats at the ball game, because I think baseball's a really fun game. I got one called Gator Dad, because when my daughter was little, I was a stay-at-home dad for a while. And I, loved the time that I had with my daughter. She's 26 now. But we're still completely bonded by that time that we had together when she was little. So done a whole bunch of different books, many of which I wrote and illustrated, but also ones that other people have written that I've done the pictures for.
Love that. Sarah said Hank put his hand up about getting in trouble for the water fountain.
Hey,
And Lori Cox said, wonderful messages for kids, and the books are physically beautiful. The illustrations are great. So you have tons and tons and tons of books. So what inspired you to write The Rough Patch? And then what inspired you to write Little Bat in Night School?
Yeah, well, so The Rough Patch was a story that I actually came up with 18 years ago. A really long time ago. And I was out weeding my garden. I have a big vegetable garden behind my house, cucumbers and beans right now, just tons of them. And I was pulling weeds in my garden and getting frustrated because they kept coming back. And then I thought, what would happen if I played a trick on my garden and actually watered the weeds? Would I get lots of really nice vegetables? Now, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, but that is where the story idea came from. And then it seemed to me that somebody who took care of weeds was probably a really sad person. And so this character, Evan, came to be, who has a terrible sadness and tends to weeds and the plants in his garden help him find his way back out again. Um, the little bat in Night School, as mentioned before, the little bat actually appears in all four of my other bat books on the lower right-hand corner, and he appears in a lot of the pictures. So it's not really a Where's Waldo type book where you got to search for him, but he's in there. And again, I just thought that he needed a couple of new stories, and so like Little Bat in Night School came out, and then next spring there's going to be another one. Raise your hand, all of you scholars here. Raise your hand if you have ever tried to stay up all night long, or at least till midnight. New Year's Eve something. Well, Little Bat, because he is a nocturnal animal, wants to see if he can stay up all day. So it's Little Bat up all day, and I'll give you a little teaser, a spoiler. He doesn't make it. He has a friend who has to keep pushing him and poking him with sticks to get him to wake up. And he keeps saying, I wasn't sleeping. I was just resting my eyes or imagining what it would be like to sleep here. So that's a little teaser for one that's coming out next year.
Love that. So it sounds like I need to read that one, because trying to sleep in the daytime is not what we do, but I would love to see it from a bat's point of view.
Yeah, yeah.
And you have a hand raiser.
Oh, excellent.
He said he's tried it. Well, Brian, thanks so much. Is there anything else you would like to add before we close out?
The only thing I would say is, no matter what it is that you want to do when you're a grown-up, and this is also for all the athletes out here, because I go to places where a lot of the student athletes are like, yeah, I don't need to bother to read. I'm going to be a football player, a basketball player. I don't need that. Well, the thing is that reading makes you smarter for anything you do. And if you are smart as a grown-up, the smarter you are, you're going to be better at anything, including sports, because you're going to be able to outthink the people you're playing against. So there are those people who automatically love reading. There are people for whom it's a lot of work. Keep practicing it, because there's nothing more magical than opening up a book, disappearing into the pages, and actually forgetting you're reading, which is something that happens when you've had a lot of practice reading stories. That you get to live in other people's lives, and those may be people we never can meet in our day-to-day lives, people in other countries, but it helps us to be more sympathetic and nicer to strangers, and again, builds that brain. So just pester your grown-ups to get you to the library, get to the school library, take lots of books out and read.
Love that. And I love to read children books and adult books. So I always like to leave with a closing remark. I say, if nobody else tells you Dr. George loves you, you have any closing remarks?
I would just say, grown-ups who are watching this as well, make sure that you do what Dr. George does so beautifully. Read to your kids every night. My mom was a high school English teacher, and she read to my older sister and me until we were in, I think, middle school. We were even reading kids' books in middle school, but it was just fun because we were together in time where nobody had to be doing something. It was just together time. And that's so special. And it's really important to have that time together with family. So read together.
Love that. And Sarah said, happy first day to Dr. George and her scholars. Thank you, Sarah. And Ms. Fehrenbacher said, love the info on how you are inspired to create your books. And Sarah said, love building that brain. And thank you, Mr. Lowe. So guys, good night. Good night. I'll see you next Tuesday.
Good night. And thank you so much for having me on, Dr. George.